Morning guys, Mark Ferrasci, Protect Dog Training, heading to Hollywood to go pick up a dog. And I just thought I'd yak the screens. I'm always bored when I'm driving down the road, so I'm trying to think of what to cover today. Basically, how important it is to do what we do as far as environmental saturation, as I like to call it. I don't like to use the word socialization, though I do because it's out of habit, but in a general sense, you should think of it more of as environmental saturation, right? People, places, things, as much as we can, a very slow, methodical process that we're building the dog in, and we're basically shaking the dog out, and I've talked about that many times before. Shaking the dog out is a term that I use in regards to how I deal with my environmental in such a way that I'm building confidence and strength in the dog and achieving goals in his mental attitude and how he deals with the outside world. Because as anybody that has ever experienced it knows, and you realize that our biggest enemy is fear, insecurity. Insecurity and fear in the animal causes aggression, right? So you get a fear biter, you get reactivity, you get all kinds of problems. What is reactivity? When a dog loads up and goes after another dogs or people, showing signs of aggression. It's almost kind of like an explosion. Boom, right? Reactivity. And a lot of times there's a lot of reasons that it happens, but the biggest reason is lack of confidence, right? Insecurity. And you handle that by taking the dog out into an environment as much as you can and doing what I call shaking the dog out. It comes from the horse industry. It's what you do when you have a young colt and you're trying to get them used to having a saddle put on their back. It's a very slow, methodical process in doing that. And they call it shaking out the colt, shaking out the horse, right? You take a gunny sack, that's where it comes from, you know, and you're billowing it, and you've got a very skittish and flighty animal on a horse, right? And you slowly but surely get them used to that sack, and then you touching them with their body, and you slowly but surely bring it. Pretty soon they're not even afraid of it. You can put it onto their back, and then it progresses to the saddle being thrown onto their back, right? They call that shaking out the horse, right? Well, it's the same thing when I do when I go out in public, because I've had that experience when I was a child working with the horses, working with the colts, that I know it's the same thing when I do that for development of my puppies in environment. I'm doing the same thing. I'm knocking on things and making noises. I'm very slow, methodical building, getting them used to their environment. It is an art. It's something I'm very good at. There's a lot of factors that go into it. It's not just something by me saying it that you can understand exactly what to do, because if you're not experienced, you're not going to be able to read the animal well enough to know when he is insecure and knowing when to do what you've got to do to get him over certain things that he may be fearful of or insecure of doing, right? And so we've got to slowly, methodically build the dog through it. And I say it's an art because it's something that we have to learn through experience. I've been doing it for many, many years. I started this many years ago, and because of my background in horses, it was very easy for me to figure it out.
Turn left onto Pure Blossom Highway.
So very easy for me to figure out in regards to what I needed to do to get the dog through it. And I approach it, it's a science. It's an art, it's a science, however you want to look at it, but it's something that I feel real confident with and I'm pretty darn good at, right? How to use environment and how to do what you got to do and be aware of your environmental that you need to do. Every dog's different, so every dog's going to take it differently. I mean, I've had dogs that I go into Bass Pro and they're so freaked out by the noise that they lose it, you know, and then they become very skittish, even though I built the dog up to handling everything else, and all of a sudden you go to Bass Pro and that noise of that waterfall just goes, whoa, what the hell is this? You know, so it's each little level gets them through. I find that noises, right, like that waterfall at Bass Pro, and then the kids on the weekend, if you go on a busy day on the weekend, the kids screaming and yelling and running. A lot of times that's what will create the nervousness and the insecurity in a dog, depending on their overall temperament, disposition, and an ability to handle it. You know, that's something you might see a weakness where you thought you didn't have any, and all of a sudden you go in there and you go, whoa, you know. So you got to slowly work the dog through it and build them into that environmental people, places, things, surfaces, touching different surfaces, the wood piles, grates, things to crawl up on top of, like those flat platforms that are at Home Depot. I mean, just a lot. And it's a very slow, methodical thing, and what you're doing is trying to give the dog strength to a point where after a while it becomes blasé. He doesn't care about anything. And that confidence will take you so much further. You know, so many people get into sport. They go after shoots and they go after this. They go out to the club and they stay on a field, you know, a grass field somewhere. The club's meeting. This is where they meet, and the dog has a certain amount of interaction and a certain amount of that they're going after for the sport. But in reality, I find that if I take the dog out and I do agility and I do environmental and I do everything I can to build confidence within that animal, that is what I need to be able to teach the dog anything. Because once he has that confidence and he has that security within himself, I can teach the dog anything, right? That's the key, right? So I don't really worry about the specific scenarios. I'll talk to you later. Got a call coming in. Bye-bye.